It is Monday, and we start, of course, with Mastering Your Mind. Mr. Kheston Walkins is with me this morning. And Kheston,
hi, good morning.
You know, I asked Carrie that question this
Yes.
morning about, you're walking into the store and these salespeople will just walk up to you. You need help? No, of course I don't need help. I don't even know what I'm looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do they do that?
Well, I can't say. Well, the thing is, there's generally a kind of script that people get when they're hired. You go to people, say, "May I help you?" I actually worked at a Levi's store in England for a while.
Really?
And that was part of what I had to do. So, hi, welcome, how are you? How can I help? Blah, 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 right? But what I want to actually talk about today is actually twofold, because it's Christmas time. It's the era of commerce as much as it is about the birth of Christ. But what I actually want to talk about is something called cognitive fluency. Everything that I say is going to be underscored there.
Right.
Okay?
But you need to define the cognitive fluency first.
So it's the ease with which we carry about or carry on a mental task. The ease with which we carry on a mental task. Now, why is that important? Because I'm sure most people have the stuff happen during the time for Christmas when you're just stressed and you're anxious and it's like, okay, this hasn't arrived yet, the turkey still needs to defrost or whatever it is, right? But the thing is, there's some interesting things that you, one, know about yourself, and two, that you can do to reduce that stress and anxiety. Now, we have mainly two types of memory. There's short-term memory and long-term memory. And there's a broad section called working memory. So when you have all those things to do for Christmas, if you don't write it down, you actually cause yourself more anxiety because you could only hold a certain amount of things in working memory. So you see what I mean, right? Now, the same thing applies when you go into the store, into the grocery, because it affects cognitive fluency. The less things or the less memory you have available for working memory, it therefore implies the more anxious you're likely to get. Because if I ask you to memorize 40 numbers, right? Or I ask you to memorize a list of 50 things that you need to get for Christmas, it's just like, oh God, how am I going to do that? And then walk down the aisle and then deal with the bad customer service. You get what I'm saying, right? Okay, cool. So, Rishi, let me ask you a question. Do you make a list?
No, I don't.
No, you don't make a list.
No, I don't.
And that's true for about 4 out of 5 people in Trinidad and Tobago and quite likely in the world. We don't make lists for things, which means we have to actually hold all those things in memory, which is...
Or you just go into the grocery, you go into the store, you walk around, see, hey, I think I need this, and pick it up.
Yes, and then you invariably spend more money and forget things, so you have to go back to the store again. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So the point is that is inefficient, right? And it's not best for us, especially when we have things to do and people to serve. Now, here's the other part. So now we've looked at you as an individual, but it also has ramifications for people who are selling. If someone comes into your store and you said, "May I help you?" almost always they say no, unless they know what they're going for. And that's because they did not make a list. They have no idea what they want. All they know is that they want something from this store, possibly. Yeah?
Possibly.
Possibly. So here's a trick that you can use. If they come into your store, don't ask, "May I help you?" You ask, "Is this your first time in the store?" Now, the reason why that is, there's a more fluent answer for that. It's yes or no. It's easy for them, right? Then you say, it's not, if they say no, well, we have a special for return visitors. Then if they say, yes, this is the first time in the store, you say, well, okay, we have a special for new visitors. The two things could be absolutely the same. It helps to have a special, but the two things could be absolutely the same. The point is, you've moved them more quickly along the sales process.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, because I would say for me, and as Carrie said this morning, when you go in and people ask you, can I help you? No, I'm just looking around.
Yeah.
Because most times I myself don't know what I want.
Because exactly, and you have to now try to figure out, okay, when they ask you, "May I help you?" then you have to figure out what you want, and that is something that you don't know, and it's not a fluent task, which means that your brain don't want to do it. That's why you choose the easiest option, which is, no, I don't want any help.
And this is all on the cognitive fluency.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
So you make a list, and that should be able to help you free up some thoughts.
Yes, exactly. And then you give your staff, if you're selling, a better script so that they can deliver a better service and move people along the sales pipeline.
And if you have kids, how you deal with that?
Oh, Lord. That's a whole different kettle of fish. But the similar things apply, right? If you want to move children along the decision process more readily, then just give them options. I mentioned that in one of the previous things. If you give people options, it makes it more easy for them to actually make a choice.
Yeah, and walking with kids and all can be a hassle.
Oh, good Lord, yes.
And
I don't have kids. I don't have kids, and Maybe that's a good thing. But yes, but yes, carrying them along. Okay. If you want your kids to be compliant, okay,
buy them a toy.
Yes, get them something to carry around to occupy their time and attention. I'm not in the camp that loves to give children tablets, but give them something that is tactile, something that they could play with and interact with. That's what I would say.
And one thing that you mentioned is that if you don't have this list and you're thinking too much about everything, it can cause fatigue.
Yes.
Now, this doesn't mean physical fatigue.
It's mental fatigue.
Exactly.
Which is almost just as bad.
And in a season that is so busy, how it is important then to be able to relax at times.
Yeah. That's right. And even when you're on the road and you're on your bustle and all these kinds of stuff, right? Take some time to stop. Drink water. You've been up and down. Take some time to drink water. That's so important because your brain needs hydration. Your brain also needs food. Don't die over some Christmas presents. Don't get sick over the plantain that you need to buy for whatever they use plantain for. You know what I mean, right?
And if you're not relaxed, can that make you angry and edgy and cause road rage?
Absolutely.
And there is going to be a lot of traffic.
There was some work. Exactly. There was some work done with the less working memory you have, the more likely you are to be irritable. And you find that with people who don't sleep well, people who have night shifts and those kinds of things, it's more demanding on their minds, so they could process fewer and fewer things. So the point is you need to have that rest.
So now I have an excuse when my friends and they tell me I'm being a grump. It is because I did not get enough sleep and I don't have enough working memory.
Well, don't quote me, right? That's between you and your friends. But it's definitely something that you could tell them, for sure.
Kheston Walkins, thank you so very much for coming in this morning. It's always a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you.
We always learn so much. So that was Mastering Your Mind on the Now Morning Show.